Actually have booked a tour to go visit like our first apartment today. The apartment looks so nice. I was like, oh my god. Like, so I'm gonna share with you guys some of my tips.
Downtown we let it go. Sunset high and our bodies low. Blood rush in a hazy glow. My hands, your bones. Loose up, we break the scene. One step deep as you fall to me. Hot clap, we skip a beat. Count 1, 2, 3.
Hello and welcome back to today's vlog and happy today's the 30th, May 30th, and I believe it's Saturday. It's about 1 in the afternoon and I've been apartment searching literally all day, and I actually have booked a tour to go visit like our first apartment today, which is unfortunately only gonna be me. Griffin's at work and I wasn't planning on going to see anything. I just was calling for more information because most complexes aren't doing in-person tours because of Corona. But as soon as he said that, I decided that we're gonna vlog today. So I'm starting this vlog off like midday, but that's okay. I just definitely want to take you guys on this journey of like apartment searching and everything. And you guys requested that I give you guys some like apartment tips and hunting tips or leasing tips and stuff like that to basically begin this like apartment search thing. We did my job searching already. Now it's time to do apartment searching, which we've been doing for a very long time. I just haven't really been vlogging it, but I thought since we're actually gonna go view our first apartment, I want to document this, especially for you guys, but also for me. You guys know how I am. So we're starting the vlog at 1 p.m. It's okay. Other complexes that I've been looking at online are doing like virtual tours or like FaceTime tours, which I think I booked another place. They're supposed to call me back with like a virtual tour kind of thing, so I can like FaceTime tour a place, because most people are doing it like that because of good old Rona, but I wasn't expecting to go in to see this place. I'm of course gonna wear my mask. I'm gonna be safe, but I'm gonna go see an apartment today. Griffin's at work unfortunately, so also going to be recording for him, taking pictures and everything, because they're having some great specials, but apparently it sounds like they're only having them for like a week or two longer, so I want to like jump on that just in case because it's in a good area. The apartment looks so nice, at least from the pictures and like the virtual tour I took online. I was like, oh my god, like it's perfect. And then the second one that should be calling me back is also gorgeous, and it's a 2-bedroom for literally the price of like the other one that we could potentially get, but I definitely want to take you guys with me, give you guys some apartment hunting tips, all that good jazz. So we're gonna be doing that today, but welcome to the vlog. I'm in the middle of searching and my search is going actually very well, so I want to keep this up, but it just like dawned on me that I should start the vlog, so I wanted to say hello and start the vlog off for you guys. But let me keep doing this and then I'm gonna pop back in and basically break it down for you guys, give you guys my renting tips, my everything, because I actually have rented before. Like, this isn't my first apartment. I had an apartment my sophomore year, which I'm sure you guys know, with my boyfriend at the time, and then my junior year I lived in an off-campus house with 4 other roommates. This year I'm living in a 3-bedroom apartment. Like, I know how to lease, I know how to do this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna share with you guys some of my tips after I'm done searching, and then we'll go on the tour and see what else we get into today. Hello guys, a long time no talk. I've been busy apartment searching. Gotta blow up my candles so my apartment doesn't burn down, but now it is time to go look at the one unit that I'm gonna go see today, not Griffin, because he is at work. I'm super pumped to finally like, I guess, start this process officially, because again, we've just done a lot of like online research, but we haven't been able to go look at anything, and I'm excited to look at something. Let's do this. Hello guys, I just pulled into the place. Obviously for safety reasons, I'm not going to show you what they look like or what they're called just in case we end up living here, but I will show you guys the inside. But I'm not going to bring my camera because that just might be weird, so I'm going to like kind of vlog or maybe take pictures with my phone. Oh, I'm definitely going to take pictures with my phone for Griffin, but if it's not too weird to like take video, I'll take a video and then definitely update you when I get back. I'm excited. They look really nice on the outside. I already see people like walking their dogs outside and they have cute patio furniture and it's cute.
Find a place and lose it, you can do it. Won't you dance with me? Move your feet and feel it in the space between. You gotta give yourself a moment, let your body be. Your name I'll never know as we get down in the road below. Caught up in an overflow. My hands, your bones. Wide-eyed, you look at me. Set on fire in a silver dream. Spin around, you can feel the breeze.
Hey guys, and what is up? It is actually a couple of days later, and if I'm being honest, a couple weeks later. But I wanted to nevertheless finish this video. We had just left off on me showing you some pictures and some footage of the apartment that I went to go see on that day that I started this video. Little did I know I was gonna be there for about 3 hours, you know, touring the unit, talking to the guy there, and just like touring the whole complex, amenities and everything. Me and this guy got along so well. We were just like talking about everything, and then obviously it was like 3 hours later. Griffin was off work, and we made dinner, and I just lost track track of the fact that I was filming. So I'm sorry about that. But I did want to end today's video with some of my key tips for renting or leasing. Sorry, it's raining outside and I'm trying to find the best lighting right now. But that is why you guys came here, was for renting and leasing tips, I would assume, because that's the title of this video. And so my key ones that I usually go off of when I'm looking for apartments is of course like price. And when you look at the rent price, you want to also include maybe another 100 or 2 added on to that, just for like things. You don't want to just know that you can afford the rent. You of course need to afford the utilities, groceries, if you're getting like Wi-Fi, and like just all of the things that go in with getting an apartment. Most apartments will not have all of the utilities included. You may find some if you're doing like off campus, of like college campus kind of renting. I know some of the ones at Ohio State have that, but most like adult or real life apartments don't do that. This next tip is definitely for college students, because if you are going to start looking for apartments to move off campus, you need to start the fall before you're moving off campus. So if you start as a freshman, let's say, you need to start looking for an apartment September, October of your freshman year. That is usually when the stuff is done, like the signings, the leases, all of that kind of stuff is done the year before, because it's just such a huge market and they have to get all of these things filled. So if you wait until the summer, there will not be anything left for you except for maybe the really expensive places. And that also means that if you're living in an apartment like how I am now off campus, basically we moved in, let's say August 15th, by September, October, we needed to tell them if we were renewing our lease or not. Like you have basically 60 days of living in an apartment as a college student typically to be like, yes, I'm releasing, or no, I'm not, because they also need to know so they can release your unit if you're not staying here. So things happen really quickly on college campuses. However, if you're moving off campus, it is a little bit different. Like Griffin and I were looking for apartments well before we were moving in. However, not as seriously until maybe like 2 to 3 months out, because they don't know if there's going to be units available if you start the fall before. Because real life apartments kind of work with like a 30 or a 60 day notice. Usually they say, hey, 30 or 60 days before your lease is up, let us know if you're re-signing. A lot of the places that we even called maybe 2 months ago, they're like, oh, we won't know for another month if we even have openings. And so you definitely want to start looking ahead of time. But as far as like applying and maybe being able to view or tour units that are available for you might not happen until like a month or 2 before you could move in. Typically when you are looking for a real adult kind of an apartment, you may need a co-signer, especially if it's your first time. A co-signer basically signs your lease with you, saying that, you know, if I can't pay my rent, then my mom who co-signed my lease will have to pay my rent. It just kind of makes someone else also accountable, because maybe you might not have the best credit, or you don't have any credit, or because you have no real history as far as like renting and stuff like that. Complexes can't really tell if you'd be a good tenant. Fortunately, I have been in like 3 or 4 different apartments before this one, so I do have a good history as far as like I always pay my bills on time. I've never been evicted. I have great credit because I have student loans and I pay bills myself, and so I would not need a co-signer on some of the apartments. However, maybe a really expensive one, I may need one. Because another reason you may need a co-signer is basically if you cannot prove that you can pay 3 or 4 times the rent. Most complexes will ask for that. So they'll ask for your pay stubs from the last 2 paychecks, and basically if you, or if you're in with someone else, if you guys combined cannot make 3 times the rent at least, you'll probably need a co-signer, or you may be denied that application for the apartment. Now your co-signer may also have to provide that information, that way they could see, okay, so you two plus your co-signer will make 3 times the rent, you guys are good, perfect. But every apartment complex is different in that sense. But typically the more that you rent and the longer that you've been renting, the better it is as far as like your credit and your rent history and all that kind of stuff, where you won't need a co-signer. College campus apartments, more than likely, like 100% of the time, you'll probably need a co-signer, just because they know that you're a college student moving into this apartment and you might ruin the place. So they want to hold some sort of an adult accountable for that, so that way if you ruin something, your mom's gonna have to pay for it. So all of the places that I've lived on campus needed a co-signer, but that's typically normal for a college campus. Now if you're in college looking for roommates for off-campus housing, at least at Ohio State, I would assume other schools work like this, and if not, you should start one at your school. But basically there's like a Facebook group page for every like graduating class. So like the class of 2020 had a Facebook group page made as the incoming freshmen, and they've been in that all 4 years. That is a great place to find subleases, which is a whole other thing, but also roommates. So if you're looking for off-campus roommates, I suggest going to your Facebook page or making one, or somehow doing that. The website that I always use to look for apartments is just apartments.com. I've always had the best luck with them, and it's easy to navigate and to like make an account and like save houses or apartments or whatever that you're looking at. I really like them. You can set your parameters for it. So of course, if you have a max kind of rent amount, which is something that me and Griffin did, where we're like, hey, we don't want to pay more than $1,300, and we kind of capped that off so it would only show apartments in that range. That's super helpful. And of course you can put your area in there, whatever you like. But there's tons of other apartment websites. Literally, if you just Google like apartments in Columbus, Ohio, there will be like 30 different apartment websites, but usually they'll have the same kind of listings. You might find some on others and not on others, but apartments.com seems to be the best for me, and it hasn't failed me yet. When you find an apartment that you think you love, before you actually fall in love with it, read all the reviews and see what area it's in and kind of look at the school districts. That's a good way to see if you're gonna like that area, what's around that area. If you're looking for more like a downtown or stuff that you can walk to, or you're looking in the country, like you wanna know what's around if that's important to you. It was for us. And so I wanted to look at that first before I fell in love with a unit and then realized it really wasn't in the best place for us. And the same goes for the reviews. If we really loved a unit and then we read some of the reviews and all of them were like cockroach infested, awful, like management's awful, if they're gonna upcharge you, we're like, oh crap, let's not do that. But on the other hand, do take some of those with a grain of salt. I think the reviews that are the most helpful are the ones that only deal with, you know, some of the management stuff or like the area-ish and what goes on when they lived there. I tend to ignore the ones about, you know, other tenants in the unit because you can't ever control that anywhere. A lot of times we see reviews like, my upstairs neighbor was awful, he was stomping around. Like, that's really unfortunate for you, but that's not for everybody. And so I don't usually take those into account because yes, I could get a really loud upstairs tenant, but that could also happen everywhere. I really only pay attention to the ones that are like, management sucks, they never fix anything, there's cockroaches everywhere. Like the ones that you like really want to know about, I pay attention to those ones. I also pay attention more so to the most recent ones because of course there could be a bad comment on there from like 4 years ago that no longer is applicable. So I really only try to stay within the last year because management can change, and just like the apartment complex in general may change to where, you know, you weren't getting upcharged anymore because management changed, or there is no more cockroach infestation because they've handled it, kind of thing. I do the same with like Amazon stuff. If I'm reading reviews from 4 years ago that the product sucks, but then all of the ones from the recent years says the product is amazing, it's probably gotten better and it's amazing now. Another one of the checklist items that Griffin and I really wanted to see, like, yes, it has it before we fell in love, was of course if it was pet friendly because I have kitty, and of course if there was like a washer and dryer in unit or any other thing that we like had to have in our complex. We really made sure that anyone that looked face value amazing, we read the reviews, we looked at the area, and we looked at the amenities or like what came with the unit before we looked through the pictures and before we fell in love with it. And that's more so just to like stray away from heartbreak or, you know, disappointment when a unit doesn't work out. I just found that that was the best way to do it, to just like look at it ahead of time and then move on if it didn't meet my criteria. And one thing that I did specifically when I was doing all of my apartment searching for this video was that I would save ones that I really liked, but then of course compare prices and quality, because I'm this way in real life but also with my apartments, is I want the most bang for my buck. I of course don't want to spend too much, but if I can get more things for maybe a little bit more money or more things for less money, then I'm gonna do that. If I can get 100 more square feet for only $50 a month more, why not? Or if I can get a brand new unit that has never been, you know, used before, absolutely gorgeous new appliances, hardwood floors, like all of the things you want for the same price as maybe a really crappy, ugly, like stained carpet 2-bedroom, and yes, you'd get those 2-bedroom and extra square footage, but like why when I would get more for my money with this nicer unit? That was kind of how I played it out and how I like justified certain units to myself. Or when Griffin and I would go back and forth like, oh, I really like this one, I would be like, oh, but that's more expensive than the really nice one that we saw over here, and it's basically the same. Like you kind of want to keep that in mind so that way you don't fall in love with a unit that's like overpriced for no reason. Usually if you're finding, you know, apartments for like 500 or less, they're usually not going to be in the best areas and they're not going to be the best apartments, especially for a 1-bedroom. If you're finding apartments for like 800 or less for 2 bedrooms, the same thing kind of goes, is it might not be in the best area or it might not be that, you know, updated. Not to say that they're bad units, it just depends on what you are looking for and what you guys want out of these units. The things that Griffin and I were really looking for are like those hardwood floors in most of the area. I know most complexes have at least carpet in the bedroom, which is fine. Looking for like newer appliances, just like an overall clean looking space, especially for me to like do videos in, because I hate these yellow walls and like orange lighting. I just really want an upgrade in that. So that was one of my like check boxes, we need that. And so that will cost a little bit more for us. However, you can get a decently nice apartment for under $1,000 for maybe a 2-bedroom, and it's not that bad. It just kind of depends on what are you willing to compromise or let go of or add for the price budget that you're looking for. Because we were actually looking for 2 bedrooms so that I could have a whole office, but we just found that we weren't gonna find a nice enough one that checks off our like aesthetic boxes without going over the budget that we set. So that's when we decided that, okay, we're not gonna look for 2 bedrooms anymore. We're just gonna look for 1-bedrooms that hit our aesthetic boxes for the price point that we want, because that's more bang for our buck. We'd rather have a nicer unit than more space in a not nice unit, if that makes sense. But that's what we were willing to compromise on. So talking about those things, of course, with your roommate or your significant other is super important. Usually when Griffin and I looked for apartments, we would do it together, but like on the same laptop. Like Griffin would be looking up, but I'd be over his shoulder so we could pick stuff out, or I would find some and text them to him, because obviously it's not my my choice, it's not just his choice. We're living together, so it's our choice. And as sometimes it was kind of hard to compromise, but I think we figured out in the end what we're both looking for, and that made this search a lot easier once we did narrow that down. Another tip that I have for looking for apartments is to actually go to those apartments without viewing the units yet. Literally just drive around the area and make sure that you like that area. If there's things around there that you are wanting to go to, or if, you know, there's biking paths or running paths, like whatever you're looking for, make sure that's all there. But also go there at different times of the day on different days so you can see what the atmosphere is like. Maybe on a Friday night, if you're not trying to be around a party area, then go there on a Friday, Saturday night and see if you're hearing, you know, campus parties, or if you're far away from campus where you don't have to hear that. If you go there on like a Tuesday evening, are people out like walking their dogs or having cookouts? Like, what do you see? Because sometimes if you go to see a unit only once and you tour the unit and you leave, you don't really get the full picture of the unit, the complex, or the area. So I definitely recommend going to view these spaces multiple times if you can, and at least if you can't view the unit multiple times, but like go and view the area and the complex multiple times and see what you find every time. There was another unit which I wish I would have taken pictures of, but I took Griffin to, and we just like walked around the unit and we're like, oh, this is really nice. And then I ended up taking my mom there on a different day at a different time and walked around the unit so we could kind of see maybe how it was different. And both times it was great. We heard a little bit more construction during one time and we're like, oh, that wasn't there the last time. How close would that be to our unit? Like, it's kind of a good thing to see these areas at different times, because when you live there, you're gonna be there all the time, not just that one time you view it. For example, when I went to go view this unit in this video, we were actually standing in, I think, the closet of the bedroom, and I could hear people from the stairwell in the closet. And I was kind of like, ooh, if we live here, would we get a lot of noise in this unit? Like, I really don't want that. And so I tried to ask him or like see what kind of day it was, but then I also was trying to picture if we actually had clothes in there to muffle the sound, would it travel through the whole apartment? Like, stuff like that you can't usually like replicate or do, so it just kind of, you get lucky if someone walks through the stairwell. But that would be unfortunate if that's something that you don't figure out until you do move in and then you realize you absolutely hate it because now you're stuck. So try to do your due diligence and, you know, view that apartment as many times as possible during different atmospheres so you can really get a feel for how the living area is and if you're okay with living in that kind of atmosphere. Now, the last piece of advice I want to give you guys that I don't know if I necessarily agree with all the way, but I guess I get the premise behind it and it might be helpful for you guys. I've always been told by like my aunts and uncles and grandparents or something like that, like when you're viewing a complex, look at the cars that are at the unit. So when you do go to view these places, then you'll be able to see maybe what kind of area it is or the other kinds of people that may live there. Now, I think the premise behind that is like, if you see a lot of like crappy cars, you probably don't want to live there because there's not going to be like good people living there. However, I don't necessarily agree with that all the way, because I don't think that the status of your car really equates to if you're good or bad, or like your work ethic, or like any of these things. And on the same page, I've also been told to look at kind of like patio furniture if there is like balconies or patios, because patio furniture is really expensive. And so if you see a lot of patio furniture or really nice patio furniture, you could see the kind of people that live there. However, again, I really don't agree with that, because it could have been a gift, or maybe they just don't like being on the balcony, so why would they spend money on balcony furniture, but their whole inside of the house is great. Like, if you go to a complex and there's no balcony furniture, that doesn't mean that there's like bad people living there. But those two things I've been told, if that helps you, great. If not, I hope the rest of these tips helped you, because those are definitely my key ones, or the ones that I always think of when I'm apartment searching. I'm sure that there are more, and if you do have more, or you have other recommendations that you've heard, leave them down below in the comments. That way you can help other people out, because of course I don't know everything and I'm sure I missed something that's important. But if you liked this video or you found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below and turn on your post notifications, and also don't forget to follow me over on Instagram before you go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you're looking forward to more apartment-esque kind of videos with like more searching, or of course sooner or later we're gonna get into moving vlogs, which I'm really excited for. So stay tuned for that and get excited, because I know I am. I'm just ready to get moved into somewhere. I love you guys so much, more than you will ever know, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Won't you start the music, get into it? Won't you dance with me? Find the place and lose it. You can do it. Won't you dance with me? Move your feet and feel it in the space between. You gotta give yourself a moment.